What is up, everyone? So it doesn't look like my usual phone is working, so we're gonna have some echo today. And yeah, we're gonna have to use the old microphone. Ronald, ¿cómo está? Buena onda por echar el view. Buena onda. So we're live today and we're gonna start with the class or live from Real Engine. And we're just gonna open up our which one is it? Intro Unreal? Yeah, I think that's the one. So we're gonna open up our intro Unreal project, the one we're using. Sounds good, no echo? Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. That is super nice. For some reason, my Rode Wireless Pro is not working. Right, so the project is up. I'm just having an ice cream. And so, just a little bit of a recap. In the last live, we took a look at the Burlesque level kit, and what we were using, I don't know, we were using the example map, and we were talking about materials, textures, lights, and basically we did a recap of everything we've seen during the last 4 classes. So in today, class number 5, we're gonna be looking at some, at landscapes, basically. So to do that, let's go to our My Stuff folder and let's create a new folder over here, and we're gonna call this one Maps. So inside of Maps, I'm just gonna drag the we don't have anyone. We're just testing before we start. So we don't have any maps yet. I'm gonna move, well, I'm gonna open the maps folder and I'm gonna make a new level over here. So to make a new level, hi, hi Donita, what does your t-shirt says? So my t-shirt says retro game, and there's I don't know, like a couple of old controllers over here. It's like an N64 and a SNES controller. That's what my t-shirt says right now. Hello, the ones who read it. That's a joke for well, it's in Spanish. If you translate that one, is hueco. Yeah, so let's make a new map. Let's make a right click on our new maps folder and let's make a new level, and we're gonna call this one landscape, because we're gonna use this one as an example. Before we open it, we have to double click on it, and it's going to ask us to save the level before we can open it. So this one is a blank level. It doesn't have any lighting. It doesn't have basically anything on it. So we're just gonna add a directional light. So let's go to the quickly add to project. Let's go to lights and let's bring a directional light over here, and that's it. So now that we have a directional light, let's go into landscape mode. So remember that when we first started the, well, class number 1, we were talking about the different modes you have in Unreal Engine. So the usual one, the one you're gonna be using the most, is probably selection mode. And you're gonna be using that one to transform, which is rotating, scaling, and moving objects on your scene. So that's gonna be the one that you're gonna use the most probably. And then we have another mode, and that one is called landscape mode. So let's open that one. Whenever we open this, we're gonna have some options, and as you can see, we have some sort of a floor over here. And we have some squares, and we have some pieces and stuff like that. If you want to find out more about sizes, size per component, number of components, and overall resolution, which is like super important when you're working with different softwares to create height maps for Unreal Engine, you're gonna be using that information. So the way to find it is to do a quick Google search for landscape technical guide in Unreal Engine. So when you get to this page, you're gonna get over here, and we have the recommended landscape sizes for Unreal Engine, and you can find these references over here. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into why you need some specific sizes and stuff like that into Unreal Engine, because that's advanced information that you're gonna use only if you want to get super deep into creating landscapes. What do I mean by that? I'm gonna show you how to create a basic landscape, but if you're gonna work studio level, you're gonna use a different software, and let's open up Gaia. You can use World Machine or Gaia. I actually purchased Gaia because I felt it's I don't know, it's like better for me. It's a lot more understandable. So what you're gonna do over here is basically create different layers so that you can use those layers in Unreal Engine and get some procedural, some sort of a procedural feel of the entire map. This one is a 100-kilometer map. So when you're working a map in Gaia, you can create like the base shape and mountains and everything, and it's just loading. As you can see, it takes a while. It's clearing all of the different nodes I have here. This one is also by nodes. So as you can see, I have some vegetation nodes over here, and I have some color nodes over here, and it's just rendering everything right now. So hopefully it's not gonna die. Okay, and this one are the color nodes, so that we can give it a different color for the dirt that we have over here. And this is the base shape that we are using to create different stuff on our map. Since the map hasn't loaded, you can't see anything over here, but actually it is a pretty cool map. Maybe if we try to preview this combine, and then we are gonna go all the way here, the grass texture, and it's gonna compile everything that's for this. Yeah, it's trying to. Yeah, it's getting there. So this is the map I've been working on, and this is a 100 kilometers map. So as you can see, we have different mountains, and we have some rivers, and we have a couple of lakes over there. And basically, you can manage, depending on how high the terrain is, you can add some snow, and then you can add some different vegetation. Let me do a different one over here. So we have fractals, fuller effects, submaps. Okay, is this one. So as you can see, we also have some colors for the different type of dirt we have over here in the map and all of that. So all of that crazy information that you create in a complex software like Gaia, you export that information to Unreal Engine, and then you use a procedural kind of process so that you can fill out the different types of vegetation you have. As you can see, I have a section for trees, I have a section for large trees, I have a section for shrubs, which are like smaller, well, you can use it for different things, and I have different kind of shrubs, and I have large shrubs, and I have an arboreal flow. This is basically the kind of vegetation that grows when you're close to the water. So I'm using a different kind of vegetation for that. So and you have large things that grow close to the water, and then you have some different seeds, so you can add some flowers and stuff like that. Usually when you're close to the water in a real environment, you get more growth for different types of environments and flowers and stuff like that. And we have grass for the sections on our map that we want to have some grass, because it's like a forest kind of environment. And this is another type of grass, and this one is another type of grass. So all of that information we export it to Unreal Engine, and then we tell it, these are all of the layers we have. We are going to want this kind of grass on this kind of layer, and this kind of grass on this kind of layer, and all of that. So that's how you do complex landscapes. But we're just gonna take a look at basic landscape right now. So you don't wanna probably investigate or change anything over here. Just leave it as is, and then click on the button create. So once you have created that, we have a landscape. Basically, the landscape is like the floor we have on our level. And let's go back to selection mode. And as you can see, we have a creepy level right now because it's like super black. We don't want that. So in order to fix that, let's go to lights, and then we add some skylight. Oh, no, sorry, so the skylight, sky atmosphere. So we're gonna add a sky, what's happening here? We're gonna add a sky atmosphere, So now that we have a sky atmosphere, the upper section of our world is looking better, but the lower section is still having this void, black void that looks like super creepy. So we can change that by adding some exponential height fog to it. So if we drag an exponential height fog effect over here, it's gonna get rid of the black void we had over there. So that's how you fix that. And then we have a basic level over here, and we're gonna take a look at some of the basic options for landscapes. So hotkey, we have you can change between modes using the hotkeys we have over here. So you can press Shift and 1 to go to selection mode, Shift and 2 to go to landscape mode, Shift and 3 if you want to go to foliage, and so on. So if we press Shift and 2, it's going to open the landscape mode. So let's press Shift 2, and there we go. It's now opening the landscape mode. So we're gonna take a look at some of the options we have in landscape mode. So when you go to manage, this is to create new landscapes or select other landscapes or add more pieces to the landscape that we have over here. If you wanted to make this bigger, and that's about it. Then if we go to sculpt, as the word says, we have some different tools that we can use to sculpt the landscape that we have over here. So the first option is a sculpt. So it's pretty basic. If you make a click on it, well, if you select the sculpt mode and then you hold the left click and drag it on your scene, you're gonna get some different like textures on the map, as you can see, because it's you can elevate, or you can also decrease the height of the landscape over here using the sculpt. If you wanna decrease the height, you can use the shift. You can hold the the shift button and then make a click, and then instead of going up, it's going to go down, and it's going to decrease the height of what you have over here. So now we have some sort of mountain, and then we have like the abyss over here. We can go on that. So what else do we have over here? We have the tool strength. The tool strength, as the name says it, is going to affect how much is going to go up and down in height. So now that we have it at like at full force, and if we move it, as you can see, we get a lot more height when we're moving the mouse over here. So we have some sort of graphic mountains over here, and that's it. And there is something else that is called the brush size. So you can change the brush size, and this is going to affect the size of the circle that you're going to use to create elevations or decrease the height of everything you're sculpting over here. So as you can see, we have we can go like super small, or we can go like super big, depending on what you want to use. You can use these options, and we have another option over here. This option is called a fall off, and this is well, I'm going to show you no fall off. So right now I'm going to change the force again. Let's move it at 0.5, and right now we don't have any fall off. So what that's going to do is that is not going to smooth the corners of what we're doing. So as you can see, we get some really hard edges with the brush of this tool. So it's looking like super bad. And if we add some fall off to this, it's going to smooth what you create over here. So it's gonna look a lot better. And this is what the fall off is going to do. So let's take a look at some other options we have for the landscape. So we have the smooth option, and as the word says, is going to smooth some of the textures that we have on the landscape. So this really bad looking stuff over here, if you use the smooth tool and move it around here, let's just increase a little bit of the size, brush size. There we go. Let's decrease the fall off. And if we use the smooth tool, we can, let me just go back and change the strength. So as you can see, it's going to make the edges smoother for everything you're creating over here. So this one is smoother now, smoother, smoother, smoother. So it looks a lot better now. So this is the smooth tool. So what else do we have? We have the flatten tool, and this is really good for making some sort of terraces. And as the word says, if you need, let's say you wanted to create some houses on top of these mountains over here, you can use the smooth tool. Let's just decrease the size. And you can use this tool, and depending on where you put the brush, is going to take that as a reference of height and is going to try to flatten the rest of the terrain over here. So let's take this one over here for example, and let's say we wanted to create some houses over here and we need a smooth terrain. We are going to use this tool over here. But let's say we wanted to make some sort of terraces. We can get a higher element over here, and then let's get a lower element over here. And as you can see, we can create some terraces like super quick using this smooth tool. Sorry, the flatten tool. So that's how you use the flatten tool. And we have some ramps. You're probably not gonna use it as much, but let's say you wanted to create some sort of structure that goes up from, let's say, from here to here. We wanted to go up using a structure. We can use a ramp. So we're gonna pick the top, and then we're gonna pick the bottom. And we can change the ramp width and the side fall off. We're just gonna leave it as it is right now. It's gonna be a super huge ramp, and I'm gonna let go of the click, and I'm gonna visualize what it's going to do. We can change the size of the ramp. So if we do something like this and we increase the fall off and we add a ramp, as you can see, it created some sort of a way so we can go up from this mountain to this mountain over here. And that's basically a ramp. If you're trying to build maybe like an obstacle course or something complicated to use, and you're gonna try to go up and do crazy stuff like that, maybe the ramp is going to help you. But again, these are just the basic tools from Unreal Engine, and we're just gonna leave it as that. The other options are a little bit more complicated, and we're not gonna take a look at them right now. So those are the options we have right now, and then we have the last option, which is the paint. The paint is basically going to allow us to add a texture to the floor. And well, you can go really complex and deep into that. As I was telling you, you can use layers and you can mix a ton of different textures so that you can get some sort of an idea of a really like super realistic forest. You're gonna want to use probably like 4 or 5 different types of textures for grass, for dirt, and grass with leaves, grass with sticks, grass with so on and so forth. If you want to create something like super realistic, you can go super deep into the kind of layers you want to use for that. But let's just start super basic. So before we can paint anything over here, we need to create the material we are going to use for the landscape. So let's just go to the content drawer remember you can open that one using Control and space. We're going to open the content browser or content drawer, and then once we're here, we are going to go to our My Stuff folder, and as you can see, we have our materials over here. Let's just create a new folder for them, and we're gonna call it materials. There we go. And let's just drag and drop our materials over here. And over here, I'm going to create a new folder that is going to be called landscape material. And now that we have our landscape material folder, let's create a new material. In the same way we created the old materials, we're just gonna create a new one. And we're just gonna call this one m underscore landscape. There we go. So we have a new material right now. We're just gonna dock it over here. And basically, the difference between creating a material for any sort of texture and surfaces that you're going to create and a landscape is one node, and the node is called layer blend. So we're gonna call a layer blend over here. It's a landscape layer blend, and before we plug anything over here to our basic like our what's the name of that thing over here? I forgot. It's just like the physical material attributes. That's it. Before we plug in anything over here, we need to plug it in before to the landscape layer blend. So as you can see, the landscape layer blend right now, it has a small dot that we can connect over here, but it doesn't have anything else over here. And that's because we need to add the layers. And this one is going to hold the blend of layers we are going to use for the landscape. So as you can see on the top left over here in the details section, well, sorry, the bottom left section, we have the details, and we have the layers inside the landscape layer blend. So let's make some layers over here. Let's make 2 new layers. As you can see, we have an array of elements, and this one has index 0 and index 1. And the one on position 0, we are just going to change the name for that, and let's create one that is called grass. And let's create another one that is gonna be called dirt. There we go. So now we have 2 materials over here. What do we do with those? From this side to this side, we're basically going to use that one as base color. And then over here to the layer grass, we can connect either a texture or a color, depending on what you want to do. So if we were to connect a color to this one, we can call a concentric vector. Remember that you can hold the number 3 and then make a left click on the material graph so you can get a concentric vector. So basically a concentric vector is the RGB version for Unreal Engine. Oh damn, my ice cream is melted. God damn it. I'm gonna have to throw this away. I forgot to eat my ice cream. Okay, so we can double click on this one, and let's say we wanted to create a green color like this one for the grass, and then we connect this one to the layer grass, and then we apply these changes, and then we save the material. And what we want to do right now is that we want to select the landscape. As you can see, we have the landscape selected, and it's also selected over here in the outliner. And then if we go into the details section of the landscape, we're gonna find in the landscape section the default material we have for the landscape material, and over here it says none, and we just want to open the content browser and drag and drop our material over here, or we can select it over here and then press the arrow button that we have over here, and it says use selected asset from content browser. So if we were to do that, let's say this one is closed, but we have it selected, we can click on that one. And now we have that material applied over here. But what is happening exactly right now, as you can see, instead of looking green, it's looking like super dark. And yeah, it's looking kind of creepy. So what we need to do in order to fix that is that we actually need to paint using the paint mode. And before we can paint anything over here, we have to create the layer information and well, that's about it. That's about it. We have to create the layer information before we can paint it. So as you can see, it's looking black right now. And even if I paint, it's gonna look black because it says this layer has no layer info assigned yet. You must create or assign a layer info before you can paint this layer. So let's go and create that. And to do that, it's super easy. We just click over here in the plus sign next to the grass layer that we can see it's already green because we already changed the material over here. We can actually create the color for the other texture. So we're just gonna get another concentric vector and we're just gonna change the color to something dirt looking. So we're just gonna change that. We're just gonna hit apply over here and save. And as you can see now, the dirt is some sort of a gray. So let's create the info. And what we wanna do is we wanna create a weight blended layer. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to explain this easily, but weight blended layer allows you to mix between two different textures, and it's going to also hold some priority on which one goes first when you paint using some sort of layers. We're not gonna get that deep. And then the non-weight blended layer, it's basically going to be on top of all the layers, and it's not going to matter for whatever we have below. So this one we use it whenever we're using procedural generation for vegetation. We're gonna use a non-weight blended layer, and we're gonna paint the forest and the grass maps and all of that on non-weight blended layers, and they are just going to go on top of everything else. So let's just make a weight blended layer, and whenever we click on that plus sign over here, is going to create a new folder for us that is going to be in the same place we have our map. So as you can see, we have my stuff, we have maps, and then we have landscape shared assets. This is standard procedure for Unreal Engine. And we can just leave it as that, and as you can see, it's going to create a new layer info file that is going to be called grass layer info. So we're just gonna save that one, and now that we hit save, as you can see, everything is looking green instead of looking like super black. And then we can do the same for the dirt. Usually the one you paint first. As you can see, we have both of our layer infos over here, and that's about it. And if we want to paint dirt, we just go and select the dirt layer we have over here, and then we go to paint, and we can change the size of the brush, and it's just rendering over there, and we can increase the fall off, decrease the size so we can have a little bit more of a blend, and we can decrease the tool strength so we can have a better blend of dirt and grass. Then again, this is looking like super bad. It's not looking realistic at all. Depending on what you want to do, maybe you want to use something like this, but we want to use a realistic landscape. So we're just gonna change some settings. This was just for the example. So let's go over here, and instead of adding colors and connect that to the layer blend, let's go and create some textures. And we're gonna get some textures from Quixel Bridge. So let's go to Window, and then let's open Quixel Bridge over here. And remember that Quixel Bridge gives you 3D assets, 3D plans, surfaces, decals, imperfections, and meta-humans, and you can drag and drop them on your project as easy as, I don't know, as it can be. It's never been easier to add content to Unreal Engine. So let's go to the surfaces. And as you can see on the surfaces, we have some categories. We have asphalt, we have bark, we have branch, we have brick, concrete, coal, debris, and moss and different stuff. And we have one that is called grass. So let's go and click on that one that is called grass. And we have subcategories. We have artificial grass, dried grass, we have lawn grass, we have patchy grass, and we have wild grass. Let's go and get some. Can we get some wild grass, probably? Go and get some wild grass. And from the wild grass, we have some different options. And you can basically pick anything you like from this section. So let's say I like this kind of mossy grass and I want to add this to the floor, or maybe this wild mossy grass and it has some patches over there. And we have a lot of different grasses we can choose from. So this one is clover patches and grass. So this one is gonna look really cool. I'm gonna download this one. We can just hit download over here. And remember that we have different qualities for textures and also for assets. Highest quality is 8K, high quality is 4K, medium quality is 2K, and low quality is 1K. So I use the medium quality because otherwise it's gonna take longer to add it. And once it's downloaded, we can click on add, and it's going to open up now the content browser, and is going to show us that we have that on our project now. As you can see, we have a folder, Megascans, and then surfaces, and we have the clover patches on grass, and this texture is over here. So let's just minimize this over here. Let's go back to our layer grass, layer blend and material graph over here, and let's move the texture over here for the layer grass and connect this one over here, and let's connect dirt as well. So let's go back to the Quixel bridge, and instead of picking the grass section, we're going to go and use we have ground, and on ground we have different sections. We have forest, jungle, roots, and other. So let's go and pick jungle, and from the jungle we have different options we can use for grass. So let's go and select, this one, rocky forest floor, dry fallen leaves. Depending on what you want to use, you can pick any of these ones. Forest floor, maybe this one. Let's just pick a standard forest floor. Yeah, that one is looking good. Or this one. Yeah, this one is looking better. So I'm just gonna hit on download over here. Then again, medium quality. It's gonna download super fast. And then we're gonna click on add, and it's going to add this to the project. So if we go to the content browser and we go to the forest floor, we can find over here our textures. So let's just go and add this over here, the forest texture, and then connect the RGB to the layer there. And let's hit apply and save. And let's go over here, and as you can see, now we have some sort of a texture for the dirt and texture for the grass, but it's looking weird. Why is that? Remember what gives the sense of depth to a texture? That is a normal map. So in order to create a normal map, we basically have to plug in again to a landscape layer blend the normal maps for the layer grass and layer dirt. So we're just gonna duplicate this one over here, the landscape layer blend, and let's move it down here. And now let's get from the content browser, control and space, let's go to Megascans, let's go to surfaces, and let's go to the forest floor, and let's get the normal map. Remember that the normal map is almost always going to look like this, like blue or purple or whatever that color is. This is my egg told the hen. Este es mi huevo, dijo la gallina. Así es la traducción, ¿no? This is a Spanish joke. No, mi huevo, dijo la gallina. Okay. Spanish joke if we translate it. So there we go. So we have the forest floor normal map, and then we get the clover patches normal map over here. And let's just get them and connect the RGB to the layer grass and the RGB over here to the layer dirt. And we connect this one to the normal map. This is hit apply and save. And if we go over here, we have some texture and we're missing something else. Why is it looking like super bright? And that's because of roughness. We haven't defined the roughness for the texture. So in order to connect a roughness vector over here, remember it's a constant one vector, we can hold the number 1 and then make a left click. And we're gonna get a constant one vector, or you can go to the palette over here on the right side and then search for the constants. And we have the constant 1 vector, constant 2 vector, constant 3 vector, constant 4 vector, and a lot of different options we can use for materials. And let's just connect over here the changes to the roughness, and we're gonna give it a value of 0. Apply and save. And as you can see, now that the texture has a 0 value, it means that it's not reflecting the light anymore because it's like a super rough texture. We're getting a different look for this one. It's just failing over here. I don't know why, but it's just failing at the, I don't know, over there. Maybe it needs to refresh or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, if we're close, it's looking how it is supposed to look. As you can see, we have over here the texture, and now it looks super different. It looks a lot more realistic. It looks kind of bright because that's when I move the brush thingy that is like bright over here. So yeah, we have the textures now, and it's not shiny and all of that. Then again, let's go back into selection mode. And we need to fix something else. We need to fix the tiling, and the tiling is how much the textures repeat on our world. And to do that, we need to change the UV. So remember that we did that when we were talking about materials and we were talking about tiling. So in order to do that, let's just go and open up our master material. Let's go to our My Stuff folder, and then we have the materials folder. And then inside the materials folder, we're just gonna find the m_master material. We already did this one. And over here, we have the UVs. Remember that, well, what we have connected to the UVs is basically what is going to multiply the texture coordinates, and then is going to map it to change how the texture represents on our static mesh. That's it. So we can either recreate this over here to the left side, or we can select all of these nodes, hit Control C and then Control V, and we can paste that over here, and voila, we just connect this to the UVs, then this one to the UVs, oh well, sorry, this one to the UVs for the grass, because we want to change the size of the grass that we have over here. And it's always a good thing that you have a human reference of size, so that you can create the tiling for the stuff you have over here. So let's go and find our third person folder over here in the content browser, and then we go to, oh, that's not the one I want. Do I want that? No. Let's go to characters, sorry. Let's go to the characters folder, and then let's go to mannequins, and then we go to meshes, and then on this section we have, as you can see, the SKM Mani, and this is the skeletal mesh for Mani. This is the static mesh, and we can just drag and drop Mani over here. So now if we take a look at the textures, we have Mani as a reference of size, and we can say, okay, I think the grass would look better if it was a tad bigger. So let's go to our master material, and remember something good about material instances is that we can use parameters inside our material graph, and those parameters we can basically use them to change this, well, a lot of different options in real time. So let's go and do that. Instead of working with the master material, just hit Control Space, and then we go to the My Stock folder, and on My Stock we have the materials folder, and then we have the landscape material. Let's go and make a right click on the master for the material and create a material instance. So now we're gonna call it MI. Remember, standard naming, so you can find stuff later and it's gonna be easier. You're gonna be able to understand that all of the files that are called MI are gonna be material instances. So we're gonna call this one MI underscore landscape main. I don't know. And now we can select the landscape over here and use the MI underscore landscape main. Remember that we can use this arrow over here to select what we have on the content browser and use it, or we can just drag it to this section over here. There we go. Why did we do that? And that's because we can now double click on the material instance, and remember that the material instance now has now the texture size parameter, and we can change the value real time instead of having to save and apply and save and then come back over here and see if it did any changes. So now we can change it real time, and that's the power of material instances. And for some weird reason, it's creating some lighting, weird lighting. Let me just double check over here. Yeah, let's add some changes over here. As you can see, we have some like super dark shadows over here, and that's because we don't have any skylight right now. Let's go and add a basic shape so we can see that. As you can see, we have, let's change the size of this. The shadows are like super dark, and it doesn't look like that usually, and that's because we don't have any skylight. So let's go and add a skylight from the a skylight over here in the light section. We go and add a skylight. Just try and drop it over here, and now as you can see, we have some light on the shadows, and that's what we do with skylights. So now it's looking a lot better. Shadows are looking better, and as you can see, it's looking a little bit weird right now. Let me just double check the settings and make sure that we have everything movable. No, this one has to be movable, and this one has to be movable because we want to use all of the lighting from Lumen for this one, and this one is unmovable, and we have to enable real-time capture for this one over here. There we go. And now let's use a post-process volume to manage the lights we have on our scene right now. So let's go to, where do we go? We go, oh, I'm gonna add the post-process volume, sorry. So let's go to volumes, and then we go to post-process volume, and let's just drop it over here. And remember that the post-process volume, we use it to change level, camera level looking um, effects we have over here in our scene. So first change we need to do is the exposure. Let's change the mirroring mode to manual, and then we have to change the exposure compensation. As you can see, everything is still like super bright, and the reason for that is that we haven't changed this to infinite extent unbound. Let's click that one, and now it's affecting all of our scene and not just what we have inside this box over here. And let's change the value, move it up, maybe like 1.5. Yeah, that's looking better. For an unknown reason, this one is looking glossy over here, and when you're close it's not looking glossy. I'm not sure what happened over there. Unreal Engine shenanigans. Maybe if we reload, well, let me just double check the roughness. We can convert this to a parameter, and let's call it roughness, and let's save it. And maybe if we save it real time, we're gonna be able to do some changes over here. Let's open up the material instance, and now we have the roughness. We have the roughness value. So yeah, something weird is going on over here. It's minus 16, it's still like super glossy. Okay, let's just leave it like that. Not sure what's going on over there. It should be a non-bright texture like it is over here, but over there it gets brighter. Unreal Engine stuff sometimes happen. There we go. What else are we going to do? Okay, landscape materials. And we have that. Over here we have the UVs. We are changing the sizes. And then again, I would like to change, now that we have a human reference of the size of the texture, I would like to change the texture of, yeah, of the grass. And probably, yeah, it can be bigger. Do we want it bigger? Yeah, I do. I also want this one to be a little bit bigger. So in my landscape main, let's change the texture size to 0.2. There we go. That's looking better. I think it's looking better. We're still missing some changes into the material instance, so we're gonna fix that. And roughness should be 0, and that's about it. So let's change the size of the dirt. So we're gonna take a look at something right now. And how would we go about changing the size of the dirt? We could just go, well, you can think about it and you can just say, okay, let's just connect again the UVs, and that way we can change the size as well for the dirt. And that's a yes and a no. It's a yes because, yeah, it's going to allow us to change the size of the texture, but this is affecting both textures right now. If we put it on 0.4, it's going to affect both the dirt and the grass, and we don't want that. But why is this happening? Even if we go and do something like this, let's hit Control D, and let's disconnect the nodes over here and just connect this one to the grass and this one to the dirt. Even if we do something like this, we hit apply and save, and then we go and open up the material instance. As you can see, we still have only one texture size. And what happens with Unreal Engine is that you have to create different names for the parameters you have inside Unreal Engine. Otherwise, it's going to um, to assume it's the same parameter. So it's a super easy fix. We just need to change the name of this parameter for the grass and the name of the parameter for the dirt. So this is the size for the grass. So let's just go and change over here the parameter name on the details and change this to texture size grass and change the other one for texture size dirt. Let's go and hit apply and then save. And now if we open up our material instance, we're gonna have two texture sizes, and we have the texture size for the dirt and the one for the grass. So let's go and change the dirt to 0.1. That's super big, but it's looking kind of good. Maybe 0.2. Yeah, I think it's not looking super bad. There we go. Like 0.15 and 0.15 as well for this one. No, this one is looking better than 0.25. Size the grass. Yeah, I think we're looking good. Okay. So we have a basic landscape now, and we can start doing some blends. We could do something like, let's paint, we can click fill layer with the grass, and it's going to be green. Everything is going to be green. And we can start painting some small dirt sections over here on the map. So let's just change the tool strength, and let's change the size, and let's say we wanted to create some sort of a wave. Right. Usually you're gonna want to use some sort of a way to let the character know that he has to go to some place using this kind of roads. So you can use dirt usually because in real life, whenever you walk in grass too much in a section, it's going to, well, the grass is going to die in those sections. Let's say we wanted to let the player know that he has to go over here. We have a bigger area. Change this here. Let's change the brush size. And there we go. We have a small way to indicate that he has to go over here. So these are basic landscapes for Unreal Engine. Let me just double check why my roughness is not working. Is there some sort of bug in Unreal Engine 5.2? Roughness. Just a minute, I'm just gonna check if there is some sort of a bug for it. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a bug with it. I don't know why it's doing that. But it should be working. It shouldn't be too glossy, but it's looking like super glossy right now. Anyhow, this is a basic landscape material that we're adding right now, and we could go and add more stuff to this, to the landscape layer blend. Remember that whenever you have some materials from Megascans, Megascans has a lot of different stuff that you use to create a good material. So we're just gonna add the last texture. We're gonna connect this um, to what we have over here. Just try to fix a little bit of the look of the texture. So let's just go to the clover patches. And as you can see, we have an ORDP texture over here. And this is ambient occlusion, displacement, and roughness. Ah, that's why I'm such a dumbass. So that's why. Let's just add it over here. Let's just add this texture over here. So instead of using this roughness value like this one, we are going to pass a landscape layer length for this for actually both of these textures. So remember that what happens with textures is that textures have three colors, three channels where you can save different information. So what they figured would be easier and would be better to create some of the textures and stuff is that you can save different information on the red channel. You have different information on the green channel, and you have different information on the blue channel. So that's why we have those things over here at the end, ORDP. And I'm going to show you something like super cool from Unreal Engine. We have ORDP. Where we go? So whenever you are creating some, using the textures from Megascans, you're gonna have packed textures, and as you can see, the first one, the O stands for ambient occlusion, and the R stands for roughness, and the DP stands for displacement. I already told you that, but we have more. We have metallic, we have color, we have cavity, and we have curvature. So you can find all of these different things at the end of the name of a texture, the last texture. Usually we have the normal that is separated, and then we have the albedo color texture that is also separated, and these ones can be together because they usually use the same map in a different way. So yeah, you can do that one for these ones only. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna connect the roughness value of the texture. So if here we go. So we have a new landscape layer blend, and we have a new texture. So we have our normal. We're just gonna move it over here, and let's just move this one over here. And let's connect this over here. So we have ORDP. Ambient occlusion is red, green is going to be roughness. So we're gonna connect this to the roughness value. So maybe that's why it's not working using just regular roughness value. And we're gonna do the same for the forest floor. Let's get this one, is ORDP as well. Let's get it over here. And let's connect the green channel to layer dirt, and this one is already connected to the roughness. So let's go and hit apply, and then hit save, and if we go and take a look, now it's looking better. So that was why it was looking super bright, because it needed to use a different normal map, and it already has that information on some sort of a texture. So that's why now that we have it connected as it is supposed to be connected, it's looking a lot better. And you usually want to create a mix of textures, and use a layer blend so that you can have a realistic look, because this one is just not looking like super realistic. It can get better whenever you add some foliage to it, but we're gonna get into foliage until next week. So there we go, we have basic landscape textures and a basic landscape over here in Unreal Engine. Maybe we're gonna use some custom brushes. No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe on next class, so we can fix a little bit of this because that's still experimental from Unreal Engine. But we can use some new brushes that we have over here in Unreal Engine. We just have to enable those, and we also have to enable probably some water. Yeah, they have some water things you can enable as well in Unreal Engine, so we can create some sort of I don't know, maybe like a lake over there and some rivers and add some foliage, and we're gonna make this look a lot better in our next class. So this should be everything for today. This is landscapes, basic landscapes in Unreal Engine. We have a directional light, we added that one. We have some exponential fog, we have some landscape, we have the post-process volume, we have our human reference over here to make sure the tiling is nice for the textures we have over here. And we have the sky atmosphere and the skylight so that we can have some lumen light on all of our scene. I'm just making a recap of what we did right now. And what else did we do? And we added some materials to this one. We used the tools from the landscape mode to create some depressions and this kind of mountains over here. And we used the flatten tool to create these great looking terraces over here. And probably what we're gonna do in the next class as well is that we're gonna get some stuff from Quixel Bridge. So I've shown you how to get surfaces from Quixel Bridge, but you can also get some 3D assets. And on the 3D assets, we have, what do we have? Why is it not loading? We have some different stuff over here. We have some rocks. We can use. I actually have some of my collections. You can add to your favorites some sort of things from Unreal Engine. So we can add, for example, this meshes, and to add them is super easy. You just have to drag and drop them on your scene. And now we have a great looking texture, element over here. This is loading. And this one has a material instance, and this material instance has a ton of crazy parameters as the ones we were able to see for the windows on our previous live when we were checking some of the arc-based options. So you have the global options over here. We have some tiling, and as you can see, this one is more complex. We have tiling on X, Y, X, and well, everything else. Let me just make this smaller. We can actually double check how this works if we apply the material instance for this into the square. So if we change some of the tiling, we're gonna be able to see how it changes on X, how it changes on Y, and that's about it. One is the default value. We have some offsets. We have the albedo tint. We have to enable it, and it's the tint, much like what the one we created for our master material. And if we go and take a look as well with this, it's also changing this one because it's using the material instance. So we can add some reddish tint over here. We have some albedo controls, and if we just enable them, well, you wouldn't be able to see them. You have to actually click on the arrow so you can see some of the albedo controls. And it's basically saturation, brightness, contrast, and you do that. They do exactly what the name says they do. So if we hit more saturation, it's gonna look a lot more colorful. It's gonna saturate the colors on this. You can leave it at 1.5 so it can be a little bit more saturated. And the one that you're going to change a lot is gonna be the brightness, because usually the brightness that we use over here has to match all of the rest of the assets. So if you're gonna mix different meshes to create a wall that is gonna be like super nice, you're gonna mix a ton of these assets. So yeah, you're gonna want to change the brightness to make sure they all look the same. You're gonna use that one a lot. And we have the contrast. So depending on what you want to create, you want to change some of the settings. Then we have some of the metallic controls. Remember that if what you're working with is not metallic, you're not supposed to be enabling metallic controls for this. Then again, they have this option just in case you want to override this and create some crazy stuff with this texture. We have some specular, we have some roughness. Remember that specular is how much the light reflects on this texture. We have the roughness, we have the normal strength. Remember that the normal is how deep the textures look like. So we can have a lot of roughness and it's gonna try to look deep, or we can have no roughness and it's going to look super plain and it's going to look super bad. So let's just go back to 1 default, and we have some fuzzy shading and fuzz and stuff like that, fuzzy roughness, and it's going to create some crazy stuff using those values. And we have some triple S color and color controls over here, and that's about it. And we have the texture maps. You can change then again everything and use all of the parameters we have over here with a different texture. So you can do that over here. Because we have the DRF, which is the ORDP, and we have the albedo, which is the normal color, and we have the normal map, which is for depth in our texture. So those are the basics of using stuff from Quixel Megascans, and these are the basics for landscape materials. So that's been everything for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna end the stream with a, let's see if we can rate someone. So there's someone creating some pixel art, it seems, and doing some game dev. And he's speaking in Portuguese. Portuguese and English. So I'm gonna rate it, dude. I'm gonna rate this dude.
Troca, tá?
Because
É, vai ser bacana.
if you wanna.
Vai ser bacana.
Oh, he has
bacana
subtitles.
dele, né?
That's nice. I need to get that. How do you do
Outro
that?
dia minha mãe comprou um feijão que chamava
Let's
bacana.
just end
Com
this
K.
by posting
Vamos esperar abrir aqui, vai.
it, and that's it. Here we go. Have a good day.
Depois que eu fechar a live, pessoal, eu vou tentar colocar a rerun, tá? Daí eu fico assistindo também pra ver se vai funcionar tudo direitinho. Ó o medo. O medo.